Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cover Chapter 5, Jokes. Make the most of print. Most of the games in this book have simple text for input and output. The input is typed by the user on the keyboard and entered to the computer. The output is the text displayed on the screen. In Python, the print function can be used for displaying textual output on the screen. We've learned how the basics of using the print function. But there is more to learn about how strings and print work in Python. Sample run of jokes. Okay, so this is if you ran the program in blue here. Joke source code. Here's a source code for our short jokes program. Type it in the file editor and save it as jokes.py. If you do not want to type this code in, you can also download the source code from the book's website at this URL. How the code works. Let's look at the code carefully. Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and type it in. Okay. Okay, so we continue here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this print. You'll notice we use an escape character before the single quote in parentheses, or in astronauts. Okay, so I'm still typing here. We go print knock knock. We get our input. Oh, notice on this print we're going to use a double quote. This is a good strategy when you want to use single quotes inside of your string. It just depends on what your string is going to contain. Okay, and our last line here, say print. Print blue. Okay, don't worry if you don't understand everything in the program. Just save and run the program. Remember, if your program has bugs in it, okay, You can use the online diff tool, okay? But we don't need to do that, of course, because we're in our IDE. So we just click Run. I don't know what it is, so I just put a question mark. Click OK. It says, frostbite. What do dentists call an astronaut's cavity? It says a black hole. It says knock knock. Who's there? Interrupting cow. Moo. Huh. Okay, here we have 3 print function calls. So we're talking about lines 1 through 4. Here we have 3 print function calls. Because we don't want to tell the player what the joke's punchline is, we have a call to input function before the first print. The player can read the first line, press enter, then read the punchline. The user can still type in a string and hit enter, but because we aren't storing a string in any variable, the program will just forget about it and move on to the next line of code. The last print function call has no string argument. This tells the program to just print a blank line. Blank lines can be useful to keep our text from being bunched up together. Escape characters. Print. So this is talking about lines 5 through 8. In the first print above, you'll notice that we have a slash right before the single quote. That is the apostrophe. This backslash, and then notice they show you what a backslash and a forward slash is. Tells it's whichever way it's leaning. Tells us that the letter right after it is an escape character. An escape character helps us print out letters that are hard to enter into the source code. There are several different escape characters, but in our call to print, the escape character is the single quote. Some other escape characters. What if you really want to display a backslash? This line of code would not work. The print function call would show up as. So notice the escape character. If you escape T, then you're not going to get anything. You're just going to get a blank space. This is because the T in teal was seen as an escape character since it came after a backslash. The escape character T simulates pushing the tab key on your keyboard. Escape characters are there so that strings can have characters that cannot be typed in. Instead, try this line. Okay, then it shows us that it's print, and we're just going to go ahead and open up our console here since they're giving us some examples. Okay, so we're into Portable Python. We're going to open up Portable Python here. Okay, so we're in our shell. This gives us a good way just to try this stuff out in the book. So we're going to go print. You flew away in a green, and then we had a slash, right? So we did 2 backslashes. So that's basically escaping the backslash. Okay, so we get the backslash. Okay, and we can kind of correct it here. And then we can also try the original. Okay, so we get the correct backslash there, but then what if we just escape the T? Okay, so there we get that tab character there. Okay, so here's the list of escape characters in Python. Backslash, single quote, double quote, new line, and tab. Quotes and double quotes. Strings don't always have to be in between single quotes in Python. You can also put them in between double quotes. These 2 lines print the same. So as we do print hello world. Okay, so it prints hello world, and then if we replace those quotes with double quotes, let's see what that output is. Okay, it's hello world here too. But you cannot mix quotes. So let's say we do 1 double quote to open and a single quote to close. Okay, so that does not work. It gives us a syntax error. I like to use single quotes because I don't have to hold down the Shift key on the keyboard to type them. It's easier to type and the computer doesn't care either way. But remember, just like you have to use the escape character to have a single quote in a string surrounded by single quotes, you need to use the escape character to have a double quote in a string surrounded by double quotes. For example, look at these two lines. Okay, we're going to not... Okay, so let's go ahead and type those in there. Okay, and we get the correct output. I just press the up arrow key there to get my line back. I missed a space, so I'm going to correct that. Okay, so I get the correct output. Now, I go ahead and I use double quotes, but it's going to be a little bit different, right? So if I use double quotes there, I'd put a double quote before. I would not have to escape the single quote, but I would have to escape the double quotes, the other double quotes around sure. Okay, and of course I have the final double quote. Okay, and it gives me the same exact output, but in this case I just had to escape the characters a little bit differently. Did you notice that in the single quote strings you did not need to escape the double quotes, but in the double quote strings you did need to escape the single, or I'm sorry, in the double quote strings you did not need to escape the single quotes. The Python interpreter is smart enough to know that if a string starts with one type of quote, the other type of quote doesn't mean the string is ending. The end keyword. Did you notice the second parameter in line 15's print? Normally print adds a new line character to the end of the string it prints. That is why a blank print function will just print a new line. But the print function can optionally have a second parameter, which has the name end. The blank string we are passing is called a keyword argument. The end parameter has a specific name, and to pass an argument to this specific parameter, we need to use the syntax end equals something, end equals syntax. Okay. Notice that when you type the keyword and the keyword argument, you use only one equal sign. It is end equals some string, and not end equals some string. By passing a blank string for the end, we tell the print function. Hi, nice to see you guys. No, have a seat. By passing a blank string for the end, we tell the print function to not add a new line at the end of the string, but instead add a blank string. That is why -mu appears next to the previous line instead of on its own line. There is no new line printed after the interrupting cal WH string. Summary. This chapter briefly covered how software, including our Python programs, run on your computer. Python is a higher level programming language than the Python interpreter. That is, the Python software you have downloaded and installed converts into a machine language. Machine language are the ones and zeros that make up instructions that your computer can understand and process. The rest of this chapter explores the different ways you can use the print function. Escape keys are used for characters that are difficult or impossible to type into the code with a keyboard. Escape characters are typed into strings beginning with a backslash followed by a single letter for the escape character. For example, \n would print out a new line. To display a backslash, you would use the escape character \\. The print function automatically appends a new line character to the end of the string we pass it to be displayed on the screen. Most of the time this is a helpful shortcut, but sometimes we don't want a new line character at the end. To change this, we pass the end keyword argument with a blank string. For example, to print spam to the end to the screen without a new line character, you would call print spam and then comma end equals blank string. By adding this level of control to the text we display on the screen, we have much more flexible ways to display text on the screen the exact way we want to.